double check that this is working. Excellent connection. That's what I like to see. No video. Yes, video. Very nice. All right, what's up, guys? We're back again. Just doing a weekly update of where I'm at with my FPV hobby and new addiction. I actually got, let me see if I can show this off. I got the controller this week, so that was super excited. Well, technically last week on Wednesday, and got to fly for the first time, which was a great experience, but definitely a lot of things that I wish I would have known beforehand, or just mistakes that I made that hopefully when I go back and make a video kind of showing my experience, if you guys want to follow along, will just help you avoid some of those pitfalls. So that's where we're at. We're going to be using this thing on the simulator. I just plugged it in to make sure that it's actually working, and it is a million times better than using the Xbox controller, which I don't even have around me anymore because I'm not going to use that. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about FPV finally flying, and I'm also excited that my brother is here to talk with us and hang out and ask me questions while I drool and try to fly and process at the same time. What up, no?
What's happening? What's happening?
All right, so yeah, we're here. Any updates from you? I guess before we, I don't know, jump in. I guess I should pull up these files as well.
Yeah, I have not brought back out the Tello, but I think I am going in a different direction. Mom even said that she is kind of like me too, where she like picks up something, gets super excited about it, and then kind of moves on. I think I got all of my fun out of the Tello. And I don't know if drone is necessarily for me, but I do think, and I actually captured my footage and I put it on your channel as a private. I'll send you the link in a second and maybe we can look at it. But I do think the idea of learning drone was very exciting. And I think I was against first person flying drones, but now that I've looked a little bit more at it, I might be a little bit more into that than just the cinematic.
Ooh, full circle, huh? You're coming over to the dark side?
Yeah.
That's what was like, that was my thought with the drones in the first place. I was like, drones are cool, but the fact that everything's like automated and like everyone can kind of do the same stuff with drones is like not that exciting. But now that there's like, you actually have to have a skill set to fly FPV drones, and the shots that you can get, like if you know what you're looking at, you can be like, oh yeah, that was an FPV drone and that was a normal, like, you know, Phantom or whatever. I've been listening to a couple of podcasts about drone industry and how to make money with them, and there's a lot of like interesting things with like surveying and like and more mapping. Yeah, like mapping and automated stuff with drones. So that I think could be an interesting you know, part of droning that I might look into at some point. But for right now, like I am 1,000% hooked on FPV drone. I think I'm even more like hooked and just like hungry for it because I haven't been able to fly but the first time that I've flown, and I haven't been able to play the simulator except for like the 20 minutes before we started this live stream just to make sure the controller worked. So I'm like trying to find every second in my schedule, but the weather last week was so garbage, and we just weren't able to get it out there. So, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited that Kate's on board. She's already named it and enjoys it. So I'm like, cool, we're good with the new wife. Everything's going well there. So yeah, I'm very excited about FPV droning and the little Acro Bee and this Beta Flight super cheap controller that I got.
Yeah, so how much have you spent so far?
I think it's like $600, but about $300 of that is in the controller that I wanted that's on back order. So it's not as bad as it sounds, probably.
Wait, the controller that you have is not the one that you bought? Or you bought two?
I bought two. So I have one controller that's on back order. That's the Team Black Sheep Tango 2, which I actually remember the name of because it was quite expensive. I did my research on that. And so that one should be like my lifetime controller that I'm going to have for FPV.
Okay.
But this little one that I got, which is called the Beta FPV Light Radio 2 SE or something like that. We can link it down
They don't
below.
have any simple names, huh?
No, not here. This one is like, I want to say like, oh, it's fantastic, it's great, but it's like, it's the only real like transmitter that I've used, so I have nothing to compare it against besides the Xbox controller, which compared to the Xbox controller, it feels a little bit cheaper. But as far as like usability when it comes to flying in the simulator, like I said, I've only done for like 20 minutes as we were just doing a tech check. It feels so much better and has like actually made me excited about flying. And even when I was flying the actual drone for all of like the hour that I got to fly, it was easier to control than I would have thought. I was horrible, and you guys will see the first video that I took here in a second, just to get a sense of like what my time was spent doing. But it was just a completely different experience than using the Xbox controller, which I don't know, maybe is obvious, but for me it was a big surprise and like a big relief as well. So we'll jump into some of that stuff. I guess, do we want to show the videos first, and then we can show the controller a little bit more?
Yeah, I think I would be interested to see your footage and then just ask you questions about it and then play my footage, because I think now that I'm kind of switching over to being a little bit more interested in first person, I'll explain while you show my footage why I'm not so excited about the drones.
Okay. Technically, trying to think through how to do this so you can see it at the same time. I think I'm going to screen share.
It's just a slight delay.
Okay, so it's not that big of a deal if I don't screen share. Okay. So I'm going to screen share. Let's see. All right. Screen cap. Oh, can I? Oh yeah, there's no sound with this anyways. I think there is a way to record sound. I think this drone doesn't have a sound transmitter is the thing. But there's headphone jack.
Oh, you even put your camera on it with the...
Oh, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I pull those? That's what I should have done. So I was filming it from a third person perspective as well. I don't know why I didn't think to pull those clips. So sorry. I can share those at a later date. But this is the setup. So I'm sitting here with the box goggles on. I just hit record, and then I'm flying the little acro bee just in my room. So
yeah. So out of that
600,
what was the biggest expense? The controller that you don't have yet?
Yeah, the controller that I don't have yet. So the controller that I have right now was 40, and the drone that I have right now was 90. That was slight discount because the Mr. Steel discount. And then the box goggles that I have were 120. And those were a nicer pair of box goggles that like could do the things that I was looking to do with them.
Are those forever flight goggles like your controller?
They could be, and they might be, but I feel like I'm going to get the DJI ones, which those are like $600 by themselves.
Oh, okay.
But the box goggles for now, again, for the first hour of flying seem fine. But really my thing for getting these goggles and not like sweating getting these and upgrading like fairly shortly is the fact that I can share the video with either one other person, or I can take off the little lens, and it's basically just like a small TV that I can just like put on a tripod and have other people watch. So like I said, a big part of this FPV thing, I should be talking. Yeah. But a big part of this FPV thing for me is to be able to share the experience. Like, I think that will be the most satisfaction that I get out of FPV, is just sharing it. Nice.
Yeah, because I was going to say the stream dropped out on my end.
Excellent connection. All right, sorry, we're back. Internet dropped out for a second. My wife, Kate, is also on a call, so I think her joining that call might have kicked me out for a second. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Okay, so they could hear you that whole time, which is good. So we'll go ahead and play. This is my very first flight with the actual box goggles on. I played around with the controller and the drone a little bit before I put the goggles on, just to make sure everything like kind of worked and I understood what was going on. But this is the first flight with the box goggles on. That's pretty impressive. So I arm it. I get up in there and I hit my knee and fell down immediately. So not too impressive there. One thing that I made a note of, next time I fly inside my house, you can clearly see that I have this fan on full blast, and you wouldn't, I don't know, at the time I didn't think about it because I was just like, yeah, whatever, like a fan, it feels nice because it's hot here in Atlanta. But that actually did like make the drone fly worse. Like I saw a huge improvement when I turned the ceiling fan off. So that was something I made a note of immediately. I think it was in the next part of this clip that I'll show you where you can actually see the fan just blow the drone completely into the ground. The other thing was the batteries I didn't actually charge beforehand, and they're at 3.6 volts. So this is me making a ton of excuses, so you guys don't say I suck off the bat. But I don't know, because again, I've only flown with half charged batteries to this point. So I'm interested to fly again with fully charged batteries and see, because I had to move the stick like to 80% before it would even like take off. Now again, I have zero experience, so that could be completely normal, but as far as like my feel for what should be happening, it was like I feel like I shouldn't have to like push the stick this far for it to take off the ground. So that was that. So yeah, I arm it, I go up in the air, and then I realized I was going up faster than I wanted to. I let down, but I didn't do it gently enough, so I actually hit my own knee and then fell on the ground. And then I pick him up and reset him. So this was also the point, again, just like so many things that I wasn't thinking about, because I was just excited to fly and get it up in the air and stuff. So after I took the box goggles off, I realized that I didn't have either of the antennas connected to it, which I'm flying like 4 feet in front of my face, so I don't know if these antennas would actually have made a difference or not, but I did take a second to actually connect both of the antennas, and it was so nice that I did it right in front of the drone that I forgot was recording, so you guys get to see me screw those on. So this is the second part of the flight. Again, I should have probably you can see the battery drop right there from 3.7 to 3.6, and that actual image drops down. That's cool.
What's the R in the middle? That one of one.
Oh, you're asking me way too many questions.
You just talked for like 10 minutes.
Doug, I have no idea what I'm doing. I forgot that I left it recording this long. So when I put the headset back on, I was still recording. I was like, oh, might as well go again. So I'll play the second flight that I had with the box goggles on and my antennas now connected, which again, I don't really think made any difference, but it was just another thing for me to do. So again, I get it up, I get it floating a little bit. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, okay. The like current from the fan and me like getting scared from flying in close to the fan, like just pushed it straight down. So I learned that it's a little tougher. I can fly at the maximum height in my house and drop it, and it's fine. Did that a couple of times. So those were my first two flights with it. So I did actually get it up, and the second flight, like I was able to make like I need to make smaller adjustments, which I know you can mess with like rates and do all this other stuff, but I did actually get it up and was able to like hover for a half a second, and then I got some confidence and I was like, all right, let's go for this, and just kind of bailed out, and the fan pushing me down, and then you get to see our nice luggage underneath the bed. So that was my two flights initially with the Acro B. The B brain light, I don't know what I should be calling it, but yeah, this on-screen display is pretty cool. So all of this information is coming from the drone itself and just being displayed in the goggles, but I've learned that the program that the B or the drone has on it, you can actually like move this stuff all around. You can like change what it says down here. You can bring in different stats and all this other stuff. So I'm excited to play with that, but I do not think now is the time to start messing with any of that. I think I need to just get some more stick time before I do any of that stuff. So that was my very unimpressive first flight. So if you're thinking about getting to FPV, and you're like unsure of yourself, like, please just use this horrible first flight for me. And like, oh yeah, like if Nate can figure this out and get better, then I can probably do it as well.
Is that your only flight footage?
So I have 2 clips that Kate was filming me and just laughing at me trying to learn, that she took, that I'll also share real quick. So this is from her Instagram story. Immediately my failures were put on Instagram. I almost fly it into her, and then I crash land off the bed. So my whole
you
goal...
turned the fan off?
Yeah, I did turn the fan off. The whole goal for this, though, was just like to be able to fly from our little ottoman to the bed, which is just a straight line. It's probably like 10 feet just in a straight line. But that was more challenging than I thought it was going to be. So during the end of my flights, I got it. But like I said, I didn't know quite how the goggles, like how the DVR on the goggles worked. So I was just taking pictures instead of actually recording. So sad about that. But I did forget that I was recording on the iPhone as well. So I'll try to find some of that footage, either for a video that I'll make in future or for the next live stream if we want to go back and look at that. But this next video is by far my favorite. It's not even 1 second long, but it was playing on loop on her story, and it's just the drone flying aggressively out of the air. Sorry, falling aggressively out of the air, which just makes me giggle. Because that's kind of a good summary of how my first flight went. Oh, I wasn't screen sharing for that. Sorry. So it's
I was looking
just...
at the other zoom to see if I see it up there. I was like, oh, see it?
No, it's just this like half a second clip of the drone just aggressively flying out of the air, falling out of the air. So, did you get to see that other one, or was I not actually sharing?
Yeah, that was sharing.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. I now want you to show my flights. This makes me feel a little bit better about
about yourself. That's good.
But I think like I agree with you. Like all of those automated systems make flying it, like the learning process, like very easy.
Yeah.
Like I did the same like with the wind and everything else, but as you're playing it, I'll kind of walk you through like how I was doing it. I didn't capture my very first flights because I didn't even know how to record, because when you hit the record button I assumed that it was record, but my phone was actually full, so I'd hit the record and it would show in the app that it was recording, but it wasn't actually recording because there was no space on the phone. So I was
gotcha.
like, oh, okay.
Oh, look at you with music and everything. Oh, you're putting me to shame with this one.
Well, I put that on inside the actual YouTube because I was like, oh, this is extremely fun to watch.
Gotcha. All right, I'm gonna screen cap this video.
But for me, the same things that you were learning, and look at this, my wife not happy.
Oh, the snap. Oh yeah, this is so much smoother though.
So it's funny that you say that because I didn't think it was. I thought it was very jerky, but now I see like, oh, it's
compared to what I was doing.
But it's very difficult to see, and like the lighting makes a huge difference on this small drone. But as all the crashes that you didn't see was me learning like, oh, the little bit of wind from a ceiling fan does affect it because it's so light.
Were the fans on in this video?
No, this is your house, but it's not. I mean, I don't have to tell you.
This is our small apartment in Atlanta.
Me flying back and forth. Like, I go past my wife and she's super pissed, so then she was like, take it outside. So I took it outside. But it was a lot of learning from my house that you don't see, me crashing it a whole bunch. Like, when I first got it, was like, there's sensors on it, and it's very, like, not very responsive. So it's like,
oh, you're up there,
like
son.
Aggressive movements that you have to make it move. That's why a lot of this is like jerking back and forth, because there is no like smooth transition to anything. Maybe an actual controller would make it a lot more.
And you're flying this by looking at it, right? So line of sight. You're not actually looking through. I'm trying to do
both.
Oh, okay.
But it's so hard to do because the camera is like slightly angled down, so it's very deceptive that I land on my hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
okay,
that, like that. So pulling some tricks. The battery life on this is good because I was able to fly it for like 15.
You are right on that cord. You're scaring me.
Yeah, I'm not actually that close. That's why I said like flying it. That's why I went up and down to like check it, because I was like, oh, I'm trying to distance the stuff because it's slightly zoomed in, it's slightly angled down. It's like a little confusing to know like what the actual physical space that you're flying around is. But flying it outside definitely is a lot easier as long as it's not very windy. And getting close to anything, there's so much prop. I don't know, whatever they call that. Wind coming off of that thing, that it's like it gets sucked into like almost anything that's the same size of it. This is our Airbnb that I was flying around.
I have a fan. I forgot that you're flying off the phone completely as well. Because does it come with the controller?
The fan blew it almost directly into the ceiling. Then it was like, I'm just fighting it. But at this point, I feel a lot better. So now I'm trying to challenge myself. Like, can I fly around the fan? Like, my wife's a little bit more happy now. Can I fly it around the fan? Can I fly it in the room without actually going in the room and looking at it? And it's like, I wasn't comfortable doing anything. So you kind of see, like, I just flew in and then, like, hovered and then, like, turned around and flew back out because I was like, this feels super sketch.
Camera is pretty clear on it as well, though. Like, you don't get that same breakup
outside. And then you see I try to fly it upstairs and then I end up crashing it. But it's like anything it gets close to, because there's so much wind coming off of it, like it just is getting sucked left and right, left and right, left and right, and it doesn't have enough power to like pull away from anything. So that's why it's like it's underpowered. I see now where like this is not as fun as where the first person view would be, because I think doing all of this in first person view would be so
that was trippy enjoyable. Seeing it in the mirror.
Yeah, you catch a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But like this, I could like go over that stuff, but it's kind of hard to judge angles. I feel like with the first person it'd be a lot more enjoyable to do stuff like this.
Yeah. No, it was like so much nice crash. It was so much easier to fly with the goggles on than it was without the goggles on for the first person, just because of like how the controls are set up. That yeah, it's pretty addicting. But it's just like a new skill, right? Like we both really like learning new things. So maybe I'll feel different after 6 months of flying and I kind of, understand how to fly FPV. I might not be doing it every day or every week like I want to do it now. But for right now, like it's just a skill that I am so terrible at that I just like, I can't wait to get better and just like see the type of things that I can do with it.
That is also like, I think because the learning curve of this was
too easy.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't challenging enough, and I just was like, because this is only maybe a week max. Like I got it right before the day before we went up to you. I flew it around the house. I crashed it like mad. Then I took it out at your house, flew it around your house, and got a little bit better. Flew it outside, got a little bit better. Then flew it inside the Airbnb for like maybe an hour, and got, I thought, pretty good at it. And then was able to like try to get in and out of things and like not have to look at it. And then it was like when I got home, that's when you can see like I got way better. But see, like it just to me is like, if this is really a drone to like, not this one, but just this style of drone where it's like super automated for flying and capturing footage, I don't know where the fun or enjoyment would be, because I'm a person like that's, the destination is not really the thing, it's like the journey of, and I think learning how to fly it is like half of the fun, if not like most of the fun.
Right.
And I kind of feel like this is probably harder to fly than the DJI, and as soon as I get the DJI, it's going to be like taken out of the box, maybe an hour of like learning how to fly it, and then it's kind of mastered,
right?
Because it does most of that stuff for you,
right?
Like even this, like trying to fly in between like the pillars, it was like, because it was kind of windy outside, like you can see it's like jumping all over the place.
Yeah, I mean with your phone as well, like this is crazy to me that you have this much control with the phone. So I think, yeah, having like a more expensive non-FPV drone will allow you to be a lot more smoother and all that kind of stuff. But like neither of us are trying to make videos or take, pictures from different vantage points or whatever. So this is
that's
tool.
Why I said like the only thing that I would do something like this is like get one that can float in water. This, I actually crashed it and then I picked it up exactly from where I crashed it and I crashed it again. But I would use this as a tool, like when I'm fishing or when I'm kayak fishing, like set it up in the air, look at my surroundings, kind of see where the fish is at, and then go over there. Like it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm capturing footage that I want to go watch later. See,
this check out your roof, which really is actually a business, is the whole roofing thing.
And then I was like, not close to those wires, but it looks like I'm right on top of those wires. This was fun, like flying it outside of my own house. But then it was like, what else can I do with this? Because that was the ceiling of how high it would go. It like goes up, not high enough.
It's only to, like 30 feet or something.
Around, yeah. It was just like, okay.
Oh, that'd have been a lot cooler.
DJI or anything that was like a higher performance drone, then I'd be like, oh, for sure, I can like get a bird's eye view and look at everything.
Yeah,
and it'd be a little bit more enjoyable. This is where I got a lot better. It's like probably 2 hours of flight time, then I was like, we're like fixing our house, so it's a thrash, but flying in through this opening, flying it through the other opening, then I crash it here, but flying it through the other opening, and then it was just like, okay, I kind of not mastered it, but got it to the point where like I feel very comfortable flying it, and there's no other like challenge that I can challenge myself on. Like I could fly it in between tighter spaces or get it a lot more fluid with the camera, but I was like, it's not, there's no next level. Like that would be mastery, and I don't know if mastery is what I'm looking for in this Tello drone. I mean, it was fun. And this is another thing. See how it's so dark? The sensors are going crazy. That's why you can see it like drifting hard left and right. It's not necessarily the input I'm putting in. It's the fact that it couldn't see the floor. So like it couldn't locate itself. So it's like I'm fighting the drone as much as I'm trying to fly it. Because then I cut the light on and I was like, oh, it's so much smoother. It's because it can sense the floor. So it was like, okay, I can't get too close to stuff. I had to make sure it's bright enough where I can actually see the stuff. Then I start making actual laps. Like I don't have to keep flying and then like landing it. I can just fly.
And this is off of one battery charge as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Almost all of this is off of one battery charge. That's why I was like, and I have 3 batteries. So it was like, I can fly it for an hour almost.
Wow. Yeah, I could fly for an hour as well, but you see my flights are like 2 seconds long.
That's why I said like, how much fun now could I have with this? Because I was like, this is more fun flying like in the house and around the stuff, but this isn't really the drone for that. They don't have enough control of it to like make it fluid, and it's really just fighting the sensors to get it to like fly straight and not try to like
that's interesting because I didn't know like even how this one completely worked. So knowing that there's sensors that it has to like see its surroundings for it to
that makes
sense again off of
because
the
that
phone.
Screenshot is the warning. Like if it doesn't have the proper sensors, it'll have that warning and it just like drifts and kind of fights you. So it's.
You said you sent a screenshot?
Yeah, in Facebook Messenger.
Oh, okay. I close that.
So when it's linked, it doesn't have that. But when it can't sense something or it has a problem, it has that, and then it just is like it's drifting. So you're just like fighting it left and right. It's not like I have enough control over it to like give it exact inputs. That's why I was like, this is kind of running its course. I would really want to take this and like fly it through stuff, but it's not enjoyable enough to fly it through all that stuff. I mean, there are trick buttons like you can actually hit and then it'll do a flip, it'll do all that stuff, but I did it a couple of times and I was like, what's the point of that? Like I don't it wasn't enjoyable enough for me to go, oh, those are, it's like party favor type things. It wasn't anything that I was like, oh, I'm gonna be doing this when I'm
What was the price of this one?
99, 97.
97.
100
Would
bucks.
you say for $100 it gave you like a good intro into droning?
Yeah, I'm super glad I bought it because I was gonna buy the
Maverick 2.
Yes, and that one's like whatever, almost 1,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think I would have gotten the same point to where it's like this is fun, but this is more of a cinematic drone, and that's not my enjoyment. Like I probably would have like flown it around dolphins and like gotten stuff for my wife, but then it would have been like I'm kind of, if I'm going to the beach, I'd rather fish than look at stuff.
Right.
I'd rather go crabbing. I'd rather do something than just look at it. And it's that said, like if we go on vacation and we're in a new spot, it would be super exciting to have a drone like that where I could just shoot up in the air, see where we're at, see what we're doing, and then gather intel to then like make a decision of doing something. But to watch the video back is not very enjoyable to me. Like now that we've watched that, I'll probably never watch that footage again. It's that's why I said I had to put some music to it because I was like, I can't even edit this thing without music because it's so boring to even watch this thing.
That's funny.
And I didn't even edit. I just put the clips together in order because on the phone I didn't save them in order. So I was like, okay, I had to edit it and then put it up there. But I was like, now I'm done with that. Like seeing you sit on the couch and then have that thing like that, to me, the footage is a lot more enjoyable to watch than the footage that we just saw of me, because it's what you want to see is like that stuff flying through. But with that drone, it's like you can't do it smooth enough to make it enjoyable to watch. You get that like jerky feeling, and it's like, this isn't really what the drone is made for. It's made for flying it and looking at stuff. But you can't even go high enough to like get a good sense of where you're at. So it was like, I think using it as a tool to learn, excellent. If anybody's going to think about buying a drone and you don't know if you want a cinematic drone, I think it's well worth the money, because now I feel like I've learned, I understand now how to like take off, how to land, what I need to look out for. what happens to the drone when it's in the wind, what happens to the drone when it gets close to stuff.
Mm.
Like a lot of stuff that I was not aware of at all, and I've never heard anybody say on any video, to where it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I get it. If the sensor doesn't pick up, I need to actually fight this thing and I have to hover it. It's so much easier if it auto hovers, but it's not like too difficult to fly if it doesn't. You just have to kind of fight with it. Just auto correcting it versus correcting it yourself. But I'm not hovering like in the air. I'm just like, it's jumping up and down and going left and right. It's not anything that's too challenging. That's why I said, like, this thing challenged me. I get it. I understand the path that this would take you down to go buy a cinematic drone, but it's not enough for me to want to purchase another cinematic drone.
Right. No, I mean, we keep saying it, but this is a certain tool that neither of us are gonna get any use out of. Like, it's just not for us. It's not like bashing drones or saying these types of drones aren't like super cool. It's just not something that we're gonna continue to use, and so we don't want to spend, like Steven said, he was gonna spend over $1,500, like, to use that when you're on vacation. Like, you know, even if you're going on vacation once a month, like, is that really worth it? Like, probably not. So the FPV,
I might get a drone because there are some water-based drones for fishing. And if I get back to kayaking a whole bunch, I might be like, this would be enjoyable. Instead of having to kayak around and check all my spots, launch that and then make the kayaking trip a lot more efficient. So it is a possibility. And especially now that I have this one, I kind of know how they fly.
I mean, I
and
would
how
have
they act.
1,000% went fishing with you a lot more if we could have done that.
I think this would, if we, I feel like we might move close to each other again. I think I would enjoy that because I could kayak and then just put you, like, we could go kayaking somewhere, stay, you could fly around and tell me where the stuff is at, and then I could just go over there and fish. Like, because you don't like the act of actually fishing, but you like the drone flying aspect of it.
I like
That would
being out there doing everything besides throwing the line out there. At that point, I'm like, all right, I'm over it.
Well, I think, like, if you lived here, I'd definitely go get that drone. That's like a waterproof drone, because I was like, this is an enjoyable thing.
Yeah,
You
I didn't even know that was a
kayaks out,
thing.
I could fish, and then you could fly the drone, and then you could, like, come and drop it in the water, and you could just pick it right back from the water. So,
Yeah.
again, maybe possible something in the future, but
For right
my
now.
hype for all of this is gone now, unless certain situations happen.
Well, hopefully you'll come up in whenever that conference is, and you'll get to play around with this FPV drone. I'm thinking, I don't know. I need to put more time into it, but I am thinking about getting another one just so when you're up here, because they are fairly cheap for what they are. And I've heard that this one, because of the motors in it and stuff, like, you're gonna have to replace them, and it's not like you can get like 1,000 hours of flying out of it. It's probably like 10 to 20 before something breaks. So I'm considering getting a different platform that might be better for learning, or just something different. And I think just having two of them would make it fun, because I even have some friends around here now, since Kate posted that video, that were like, oh, I'd like try that out with you. So I think having two of them, having two controllers, like, I think would be extremely fun
that's
for me.
definitely more of your MO.
Yeah.
Just to bring somebody along. I think that's another thing I don't really, there's not like a shareable aspect of this. That's why I said, like, if I fished and you had the drone, then I could see this being very helpful and fun. But to have two of these Tello drones, it'd be like, that's not fun. But
We'd start like battling them or doing something more aggressive than what they're meant to do.
I think that shareability aspect is too, like, something that you would get enjoyment out of. Like, even if you had a couple of small ones and then a couple of controllers, and then being able to share that experience with other people, I think that's more of your MO than just
Right.
having one for you that you learn and fly. Because I think, like me, you're gonna hit that not mastery level, but like understanding level,
enough,
to
yeah.
where, like, yeah, you're gonna get bored of it quickly and go, there's nothing else for me to learn and try.
Right. Well, that's why
If
I
you
think.
have another person there, then teaching is always something that's like an endless
Right.
enjoyment.
I think when I get to that point, that's like hopefully in my head, like when either the 3D printer stuff will start coming into my mind, or like, okay, now that I know how to do this stuff, like, what could I 3D
interesting.
print to like make this more enjoyable, or to make this more accessible to other people, or whatever. And then the
picking up
other
Lego
side of
or
that,
something.
yeah, is like the side hustle. Is like, okay, now that I know how to do this, I think even if I don't want to like seriously get into filmmaking or doing whatever, like, just being able to fly one of these around someone's like coffee shop or whatever and give them like a quick Instagram video, I think
Did you
would
ever
be.
find out that bowling, who was doing that and with what drone?
No, if you could send me that video, we could watch that real quick too.
Oh man,
It should be in our chat somewhere. Our chat isn't super long right now. But I think that just building like a reel for myself, just to like show the type of things that I could do with the drone, would be an interesting experience to have. Kind of, just because I'm a graphic designer and I have like a portfolio for my graphic design, I think for the FPV stuff, having like portfolio for my FPV would be cool. And because in Atlanta, like, I don't have a huge network here, but the small network that I do have, like, there's a couple of people who have used me for 3D printing. And I think kind of the same thing that could happen with FPV. Like, it would just open up more relationships and just give me more opportunities to meet people, which I'm kind of all about. So just having this, like, reel or portfolio or whatever we call it, just to be like, hey, like, I heard you're looking for someone to, help film at an event or whatever, like, I could get this type of shot for you. And it would just be like, even if it was like someone who was doing wedding shoots or whatever, just be like, hey, I'll tag along with you, I'll get my shots, in an hour, and then just be there the rest of the day to hang out with you, or, help run whatever else you've got going on. So
yeah, I think that buddy or friend or like addition, I think that's, like I said, more of your MO.
Right.
I don't see you, like you said, this is a tool. This isn't really a tool for us. We are built slightly
it's just
different.
Not our
passion. A match on, drones.
Yeah.
I think drones are awesome. It's just not for me.
Right.
But I do think if you could find that element of like, you could use that skill to help somebody else, then you would be in it 1,000%. But I couldn't see you like starting a drone company where you're flying and taking pictures, because it's just, that doesn't seem like it would be something that you would be interested in.
No.
Unless you found something where it was like, oh, I really love.
Well, if we traveled, like I think
through a pipe and see a leak, or something that would be challenging to do.
We actually
drone flying, that would be super challenging.
I actually thought about that, deconstructing this drone, because we have a crawl space and it's too small for our plumber to get to. And I was like, dang, I have this camera. I was like, I wonder if I could either just duct tape it to a stick and shove it in there so we can see what's going on, or two, like, deconstruct this and tape it onto like an RC car and drive it in there. So it's like even problem solving.
Deconstruct, you could just tape the whole drone to it.
Yeah. But it was just
I sent you that video in Facebook chat.
Oh, okay. I was like, even this little drone could be like a tool just to use differently than you would probably think about it. So
I think those are the pieces that I like, is like problem solving in a unique way with this tool. More than like, I haven't seen any jobs or anybody do anything that I'm like, oh, that's super exciting. I enjoy watching that first person footage now, but I get bored of even that fairly quickly, where it's like,
I'm the same way.
Building and in and out. Okay,
it's cool to see the people's like different levels, because you can pretty quickly tell like how experienced someone is as soon as they start flying. But there's only so many, like, unless the spot is super dope, like there's only so many things you can do with the drone as far as like the tricks and the acro and all that stuff that I'm like into. But I think like this video that Steven sent me, and I need to put our faces on the screen cap for next stream, but this video is like like I don't think I'll be at this level maybe ever, because they had
and
to,
you
like,
said you think this is a first person drone
for sure.
Okay.
I think this is first person.
I thought maybe you could program this into a drone, but I don't even know enough about like.
I just think there are too many variables, and the way that he's like swooping in and out. Like, I don't know, maybe you could, but from my video watching, I would say this is FPV. But this is like, everyone in there is an actor. They know what they're doing, like getting the timing for all this stuff to be right. Like, this shot is super cool and inspiring, but I don't ever see myself like getting to this level, because this is a full-on production. Like,
yeah, and this is mastery flight, and that's why I said like I don't think I'll ever get mastery flight. I don't see myself getting to this skill level and enjoying the job behind it.
Right. Because we're not like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to make like directed films, basically. Like,
this
at
is
this
dope,
level.
though. I could watch this many times. And
if this was like a bowling alley near me, like this would inspire me to go in there.
For sure.
But yeah, like these shots to make this all one endless thing, and like to crash it, have a fun ending. The funny thing is, like,
I feel as if I could fly those same patterns, but it would not be as smooth. Like I could erky jerk my way around all that stuff, but there's no way. The smoothness of that is what like is fascinating to me. Just like
Right.
how did
Well,
he?
there are programs as well that will smooth out your footage.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've looked at like any of the GoPro stuff, but they have like that steady. It's just like software. So even a really simple way for it to do it is to like crop it in. So people will actually film in like a 4:3 aspect ratio and then crop it to be 16:9. So taking basically a square piece of film and then making it a rectangle, and then the software will like smooth it out based on, you know, what information it needs to move around to make it look way smoother. So there's software made to make it look extremely smooth.
It's interesting you say that now because when he was swooping into that thing, I think there was like he probably jittered a little bit because it zooms in so much during that piece.
Yeah.
And like speeds up.
Right. I watched that. I don't want to just keep showing YouTube videos, but we watched a YouTube video, or I sent Steven a video about a drone following like a football through the air after someone had kicked it. And I watched the video of the guy who actually filmed that video, and he was talking about that software. And so he was flying in the Lions stadium, and he was talking about like some of the shots look really weird and like skewed because of that software, the way that it had to like fix things. So there's that whole side of it as well, all the software that goes along with it, and even the software for the controllers and the drones, like that could all be something that, you know, I get super into as well. And, you know, writing that type of software, trying to improve it or finding new ways to use it or whatever. I traditionally haven't been that into software, so I don't think that's the route that I go to. But like I said, the more that I get into this, the more I find out, I think the more I'll understand, like, is there a place for me to bring unique value to this, which is kind of what I'm looking for. Also, just the fun of doing this. Like I said, I'm not trying to immediately make this like a business or, you know, something that I have to stick to, but I think just as a hobby, I'm really addicted to this right now. So
yeah, I think the challenge aspect is really what gets us. And I think that's why, like, I was excited to get this drone. I got it. I played with it. I kind of, like I said, I'm not at mastery level, but I'm at a level now where it's like the only next thing is to master this thing, and there's no additional piece to that. See, like what you're doing here with like the sticks and like they don't snap back, and it's, yeah, like I just see that being more enjoyable to fly around than I don't even know what you call those DJI drones.
we should learn the name of them. Obviously, there's a different name for it. I think they're called like GPS drones.
Wow, you look way smoother even with this controller.
Dude, it's so crazy how this controller like just makes life so much better. Like I
now
would
with this
not have
controller,
realized.
can you hook it up to any drone? Because I think you can fly this Tello with a controller.
It's not any drone, but there are a number of drones. It's based on what software the drone uses. And there's like 4 different presets or whatever that I can set this to. So part of
you look like you mastered it already, and it's
right. Like it's not. I don't have full control, but it is way easier to fly with this thing. The reason
this game is not doing is all of those additional variables that you don't even understand.
Look at that.
Yeah, that was pretty
straight through there. Yeah, so the gravity in this game I feel like is super unrealistic. Like you just float forever after you turn the engine off. Like that just seems very unrealistic. But I think it is. There might even be a setting to like turn that off. I could be on like, you know, Noob gravity or whatever. But even being able to like fly close to the ground and really like feel this out, like you just have so much more control. You may like take my thumbs off the stick and then pull up out of that like how I want to, and do
you ain't doing that with Xbox controller.
Inverted flips and whatever else. So that's what I said, like I'm way more excited now to fly in the simulator now that I have this controller. As before with the Xbox controller, I was like, I feel like I just suck and this is not fun.
Maybe it will be the difference of like getting the actual DJI Maverick 2 and like getting it so much better that it's like, oh, all the shortcomings of that other drone is now so much surpassed, and I do enjoy looking like 30 feet to whatever that DJI can go, I'm sure is a huge difference. So it's like the Xbox controller on this versus
Right.
controller.
Well, I
This
think
is
the
only going 30 feet versus something that can go like 200 feet. I'm sure it's like a huge difference. Like, oh, this is the view I was looking for, and I can actually move the gimbal around versus like you can only look straight and down 20 degrees. It's like it's not really a pleasing view or enjoyable to fly around.
Right. I mean, it was totally just to get your feet wet, and for whatever, like 1/16 of the price, it's
that's for sure.
It's a good way to get into it. But that's why I like
so much more impressive.
Yeah, that's why I feel like ranting and raving about this controller, because for $40, which is actually less than an Xbox controller, like you're just getting a way more fun experience. So if you're like at all curious about this and you've bought the simulator and using the Xbox controller, I would extremely suggest.
Could you do a Xbox versus whatever this controller is called video?
Yeah, especially for DRL, like there's not that much content that I've seen, at least for this. But if you're at all curious, like I would say go ahead, spend the $40, because this was my initial plan, right? Like I was going to do it with the $200 controller because I already have money set aside to jump into this hobby. But if I was like, my normal thought process was just spend no money and just see if I like something, like $40 I could easily swallow just to have fun. And I think this thing will actually hold I tried to get fancy. I think this thing will actually have some resellability as well, if I wanted to sell it to somebody else. That's not my plan. I want to hold on to it. But even if I was going to get into it for 40 and sell it for 30 on eBay, I think it
only at a cost of $10. That's
right.
Again, another interesting way that I think we think of things. It's not necessarily like most people think of things, but this hobby is going to cost you an initial amount, but you can always recoup some of your money coming out of it. And as long as that loss in money equals enjoyment, then we feel it as like a net neutral. You're coming out even at that point.
Right, and the experience. I mean, to pay, with the simulator and the $10 if I sold it after, like, under $50 to be like, I tried drone flying and it just wasn't that fun. Like, I think that is well worth it. But spending $600 and being able to play with a $40 controller on my $15 simulator, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I spent that money, because as soon as I get that other controller, like I know that the gimbals are going to be a little bit smoother, and like there's just going to be way more usability of that controller, and I hope that it feels a little bit more substantial than, this is still clearly a toy, but this would be, on the high end of what a toy would be. I don't know, some people call all drones a toy.
So now I'm interested if you go back through the levels that you were playing before with this.
Yeah, so that is part of the plan. I keep wanting to like use it like a controller, but there's no like A button or anything. So I gotta go back to the mouse and keyboard. How do I get out of here? Exit. So I'll try and pick up where I was at last time, because those ones were actually super difficult, and I was blaming it on the Xbox controller. So now this will be a true test of, does Nate suck, or was it the Xbox controller holder? And I don't know if there's a way to prove it, but I have not played this since last live stream, so this is a pretty direct comparison. But even these switches on the top, like,
I wanted to do the Office prove it. When you said that.
Even these switches on the top, like, again, they're not like the nicest things in the world where I'm like blown away, but they don't feel like they're gonna break off, as soon as I flick them. And it is like a satisfying click when you go to arm the drone, when you're ready to fly, like clicking this on. And there's definitely a lot of like beginner things. So this throttle on the left hand side here, if you leave it at middle and then arm your drone, on a normal controller your drone is just going to start inputting power. So you have to be like conscious of that and make sure that this is all the way down before you arm your drone. But for this controller, it won't even allow you to arm the drone, which is just, basically like turning the key on the car to make sure that the engine started. It won't allow you to do that unless it's all the way down, and then you can start it. So there's like a couple of like, new beginner like safety mechanisms put in.
I don't know, because I haven't flown a more expensive drone, but on this one, You just hit a button and it takes off.
Right. I
I don't like power on to like make it have more power. It just
right.
goes up, whatever, like a 2 foot, and then you can start flying it.
I don't even know what it said to do, but it said to hit the balloons. A little bit better. Um, I think the let me start this over. I think the DJI, the bigger ones, they have that, but you can also like take off normally by like arming it and whatever else. It feels a lot less floaty, but I also feel like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, I guess you look really good when you're just
Flying for fun. Give me a
like,
second. Give me a
I guess
second.
that's why it looks impressive sometimes when I watch those videos and they're like kind of just like going in and out of stuff.
Because I don't have a thing that they're trying to do.
Yeah, but like now I see the
Oh.
bowling alley is a lot more impressive to me now, and watching those people fly to follow the drift cars is even more probably control wise difficult than just like flying it through the buildings, because you have to maintain speed and angle and like keep the camera on the car.
Yeah, so I need to keep starting. Yeah, and there are like all those like natural things that you're talking about, right? Like with the like the wind and all those other things that you're just not thinking about. Like I've heard some of the pilots explain like what they're doing with certain moves, and it's like, oh, like my brain doesn't even work that way yet. Like, it's gonna take me a while to get there.
Yeah, I think I crashed a lot just because I didn't understand what was going on.
Hmm.
But then, like, once you kind of have just a basic understanding of, like, oh, it's moving around because it's attempting to, like, auto cover, but there's no inputs. So it's, like, floating all over the place. And my inputs, where I'm thinking, like, I just need small movements, I need to, like, fully hold this thing off to the left. And, like, it takes a couple of seconds for it to, maybe not seconds, it takes a second for it to respond. So, like, it's not as agile as I'd like it to be. That was like the learning curve. But then when I got that, I was like, oh, I can fly this thing in and out, and I kind of know how I need to set myself up to take that corner or go through that. I need to go through there with enough speed, because if I go slow, it's going to get sucked up to the ceiling or it's going to smash into the wall. Now, this is a, what, 5-inch drone?
I don't know what this is classified at, to be 100% honest with you. Oh, that was almost smooth. Oh, I did it. Because this is just like their... Oh, I can't even show it. Is that it at the bottom? No, it's not a 3-inch. This is like still their like training drone, so I don't even think this is like a real life drone, and I'm not sure what. I think it would be closer to a 5-inch drone. Oof, not good. So see, like that, I keep restarting it, and the throttle's like here, so I just immediately fly up in the air, so I never remember. Turn it down, then restart. Or as I'm restarting, like turn it down.
Yeah, it just looks like very small movements.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought this one would be like, but it's not. You gotta have to kind of muscle this thing.
Well, it's interesting too. There we go again. Because I have heard, like, you know, I've watched a good number of people like flying a drone for the first time, and I have heard like you have to like kind of punch it to get up in the air. I don't know if like 80%, like I was saying before, is normal. But you have to kind of like punch it and then level out, and it's not like you can just leave the stick in one spot. Like you kind of have to like keep feathering it. Because these type of gimbals are also used for the fixed wing planes, and those you can just like kind of set it to a certain level for throttle and be fine. So it's not like it's 1,000% made just for quadricopters. I did this on the other side, and it just felt so natural.
Can't go left, Ricky Bobby.
We'll count that. I think the yaw is the one thing I'm not utilizing enough, like the left and right on the actual throttle. My brain hasn't figured out how to use that yet. Oh, an S. Yeah, you kind of got to put the two together and do throttle at the same time. So yeah, this is definitely what I'll be spending, like actually learning how to fly now that I have kind of the how am I going to get into FPV drones figured out. This is the part that I'm looking forward to and where I'm hoping to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, you know another reason why I think I'm not super into this? I enjoy learning from like a person. And I don't know anybody that's into this. So it's not like I can go and ask somebody for help or like to explain something to me. Like I do enjoy figuring things out on my own, but there are certain times where I'm just like, this is a little bit more frustrating than I feel like it's worth. If I talk to somebody for 30 seconds, I'll save myself like 2 days of frustration.
Right. Well, that's again, like, I think all this was jump started by meeting Mr. Steele and actually just having that conversation. Like I said, I don't think I asked any like groundbreaking questions, but it's just like knowing what is appropriate for this day and age, because again, I know from the 3D printer like how fast technology can change. It was just a very enjoyable conversation and just gave me a lot of confidence just to be like, okay, this is actually something I could jump into right now with this information that I have.
Is he somebody you could possibly call again and just like go to a park and fly?
I highly doubt that he wants to watch me fly, seeing as I suck.
I mean, he doesn't have to watch you fly. I think he can fly his own whatever he's doing, and then you just ask him a couple of questions like, "Oh, I see that you flew around that building. I can't even take it off, like, and get close to that building. Just explain 1 or 2 things to me."
Yeah, he kept saying like hit him up if I have questions or whatever else, and that was something that I had thought of because I know a few of the areas that he flies in.
That looked pretty good, brother.
Yeah, it's getting there. I know a few of the, and I was talking through that. I know a few of the areas that he flies.
Not really
in.
a complete sentence, but you were talking.
Yeah, we're getting there. 3rd stream, I can talk and somewhat fly. 70th stream, I'll have it nailed. But yeah, I know some of the spots that he flies at, so I could like ask, like, hey, if you're ever here, can you just shoot me a message and I'll meet you over there or whatever. Okay.
I think that would be the more enjoyable piece to this, is like getting to know him.
Well, he told me about a few events that are happening like here in Atlanta as well. So, you know, I definitely.
What kind of events do they have?
They have one.
Like a meetup?
Yeah, like a Rotor Rooter or Riot Rotor. Rotor Rooter, isn't that the plumbing company? They have a meetup here, and he said like basically all the like OGs come out and fly and just like hang out in parking lots and talk with people just about it. So I forget exactly when he said that was, but he said the spots might be filled up, so I was gonna look into that. But Atlanta seems like kind of a good spot to be when getting into the so close when getting into this.
Yeah, because I would think probably not a lot of people in St. Pete. I only saw those kids that one time. I have not seen anybody else fly drones.
Yeah, they said that they were at that park because their other park they were like doing lawn work or something.
And I don't even really know the rules, because I know if it's like under a certain weight, you don't have to register it or whatever. But
what the heck is going on here? Yeah, that was something I asked, and maybe I shouldn't say his answer, but his answer was not to worry about it. Because I asked them, I was like, you know, I'm listening to some of these other podcasts, and they're saying like, you know, if you just get your license, then you're kind of protected, and at least you'll know like what's appropriate and all this kind of stuff. But he was like, I've never been asked to see that license.
Oh, yeah, I guess there's not like a govening body.
Right. Well,
and what the heck are the police going to be able
to do?
Yeah,
the police can say, like, can I see? He was like, they could technically say that, but it's like tinting your car windows. You know, every time you tint your car windows, they're like, you know, it's technically legal, but I've never heard of anyone getting, you know, pulled over for having too dark of a tints or whatever. So I think it's kind of in that same realm. unlike fishing, where they will actually like come and check your license and be like, what have you caught? Can I see it?
It's not normally the police.
Right,
asking
it's like
that.
the fielding
There's a special,
game.
governing body that will come out. I don't think the FAA is like searching parks
right
on a regular basis.
And that was my other thing of like, if I'm flying the 3-inch drones, which are even smaller and less dangerous, then like I really don't think it's going to be a big problem. If I got into the 5-inch drones, I might think about there are even just like classes that I've been hearing about and interested in, so I might do some of those if I continue on, but as of right now, I'm not too worried about it. He said just go to a park, and if they ask you to leave, leave. And there are a couple of like RC drone, or not drone, but like RC
parks.
Yeah, parks or whatever else. So
yeah, I guess there's one up here, but I don't mostly see like planes.
Right, and they say like some of the plane guys can not like like quad drones and all this stuff. So you gotta play it by ear. But
you're not a purist.
I think I'm getting in. I'll do one more. I think I'm getting out at the perfect time. It's before it's completely mainstream, but DJI is also entering the space, and drones in general are just like becoming a little bit more normalized. And I think especially with quarantine, like a lot of people are getting into it. So I think that I'm in at a good time where like if I do, learn and want to teach people, that might be, more valuable in future, just because more people will actually want to be get into flying rather than like right now where it's, there's still parts that are back ordered because of how popular it is, but it's not like everybody is wanting to do this.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Is this something you could do teaching people as a job? Is that something that you enjoy?
As a job makes it sound like a 40-hour a week thing. Like I don't think so, but like I know.
I think like you teach somebody to do the cello, like it's not 40
Well, that's
hours.
what I'm saying. Kate teaches people who need help with Spanish homework because she's a language major.
Like a tutor.
Right, she is a tutor, so I could do it, an hour a week or whatever. And just be like, okay, like even if we were just going to do the simulator for the first couple of times, or if even that's as far as it got, they're like, I did the simulator, I didn't really like it, I sucked at it or whatever. Like I think that'd be interesting. Like I've taught people Photoshop, so it'd kind of be like kind of the same thing.
Interesting.
Why can I not turn? Oh, the yacht. That is something I am still not utilizing. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess before you even think about teaching, you have to
not fly like I'm drunk 100% of the time. I'm not going to get this one on stream. I'm going to go ahead and call it
there. When you do get better, I would enjoy that.
It's
drinking
too
and
much.
This.
Oh boy, shots and trying to fly.
Make my own challenges.
Yeah. So I am just thrilled at the difference and the fact that this thing actually works with the computer. I've heard of some people on Mac having problems with it, so if you have a Mac computer, know that going into it. But this is actually, this is actually the updated version. There was one that came out before this, I think that people are having more problems with. So I would check into all that kind of stuff for yourself. But yeah. If I was just getting into FPV, if I didn't already, plan on spending $2,000 in this hobby as just like, this is just money that I want to put towards the hobby, I would say that this would be a fantastic way to jump in. And if Steven would sit at his computer long enough to play a simulator, I would say he would pick one up, but I know he's not going to do that. So if you're thinking about it, definitely check that out. $40 plus the price of the simulator, like about $50, and you're going to get a good feel for at least what the controls are like. I think there are better simulators out there as far as like realism, but this one was on Steam and on sale, so I'm having fun with it for now.
I'd rather wrap it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I wonder if there's a way for us to fly the drone on stream, but I don't think that's very enjoyable, just seeing like fly back and forth through the camera. So we'll see. But
that's why I felt like the footage that I caught, it was like 9 minutes, and I was like, ugh. This is a hard ask for anybody to watch this.
Yeah, I think I should edit some of my stuff together as well, even from the iPhone and all that other good stuff. But
Yeah, I think if you have your own challenges of like going from the ottoman to the bed, like setting it up that way, and then like showing it a couple of times, that would be enjoyable to see
right,
somebody challenge themselves and then accomplish that. And then just your thoughts on like what you actually did as you did it. That's why I said like my drone, I was thinking like I could record me first taking off and flying it. That's why I was like, oh, well, I'll fly it while I go up to Nathaniel's wedding, and then when I come home, I won't be any good, and then I'll record myself. And then I was like, oh, I kind of already
figured it out.
yeah, it was like there's no more like recording me, because it was like I feel like I understand enough the pitfalls to go, okay, mastering is going to take this much time. I feel like I'm good enough. Like I got enough of what I need. I got 60% of the way there. Getting the extra 30% is just time put in, and it's not enjoyable enough for me to do that and put that much time in. Because
Right.
what's the like the other side of it? I master it and then do nothing. And the one that I want, that's a fishing one, it's like there usually has more presets on it, where it's like you can follow me, you can do all this stuff. So it's
Right.
like
I
at
think
that
if
time,
we
it is a
were
tool. It's just like I'm going to find the fishing spots, and then I'm going to go put this thing away and go fish.
right, I think if we were living closer together, it
Yeah,
would
for
be
sure.
more like a competitive thing, even.
Agree.
Even like how we play video games once a month maybe, but that's even just like fun because we're getting better, we're being able to like compete with each other or whatever. So I think that if we were closer, we would both like get into it and try to get better, and some of that competitive spirit definitely helps us with those types of things. So hopefully when you come up here, you'll enjoy it enough at least to try it a little bit more, and we'll see where it goes from there. But for now, like I said, I'm hooked. Clearly, I still am horrible, and I think that's one of the things keeping me hooked right now. Like I hate being bad at things, so I want to get better. So we'll see how the progression goes. I'll try not to get too... Well, I just don't have the time in my schedule right now to get like amazing by next week. Like even though that's what my heart wants to do, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And that's again the whole point of this live stream and some of the videos that I'm thinking of putting out is just to track this journey and see my progression and see how long it takes someone with not a million hours a week to get better at FPV drones. So that's where we're at. Thank you guys for sticking around. We got a couple people in here. If you guys say stuff in chat, like we'll talk with you.
I think you should say that at the beginning.
Yeah, probably.
At the end.
We will see you guys next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We appreciate you guys for watching. We're excited to see where this thing goes and just enjoying the ride for right now. So until next week, you guys can check the links down in the descriptions. I do have some of them from last week of the stuff that I've bought. If you're interested in this controller, I'll double check that it's down there, but I'm pretty sure it's down there, so you can go check that out as well. But until next week, we'll see you guys around.